Hello from sunny Phoenix. Today, the weather is 74 again and sunny, as you can see. It's a little bit bright out. Came outside today because my helpful children were being a little more helpful than normal. I'm sure you can relate. So I was going to talk today. Today is... Sorry, here, sitting partly in the sun. Sorry I look very weathered today, but, today is shot day. And not that, my number 4, he's, 2. He has, Adventures of Captain Portman is his Facebook page, and he has a chronic familial bleeding disorder. I don't really want to make this all like a downer. And really, I've dealt with it my whole life with my dad and my nephews. And so, hemophilia is not really a big issue to me, and doing the shots and stuff is kind of like, you know, get up, take a shower, do a shot, eat breakfast, you know, it's not even a big deal for me. But because it was shot day, and, there's a lot of other people that have to deal with chronic illnesses, and some of them don't have as good a prognosis as mine. But I just wanted to talk today a little bit about how, you know, as being a mom, that we have to deal with sometimes some of these things. And it can be anything from a chronic illness like this to bullying or allergies or mental illness, or, I mean, it just... Life just doesn't give us really easy answers, and it doesn't give us really fun things to do sometimes. But they are there for a reason, and they do help us. So what I was going to talk about today, other than, you know, all of those horrible things, is that, and this is kind of one of my big things in life, and it's one of the reasons why I started doing these videos. And sometimes I think you can see how old I am, but and sometimes you can't. But today has been kind of a rough day. I was working a lot this morning, and we have, like you guys heard from yesterday, I have a lot going on at my house. And then I have my in-laws coming this weekend, which always makes things a little bit more interesting because, you know, my house has to be spotless. So anyways, I'm out here doing this instead of cleaning my house, which is much more fun. Looking in the windows to see if they're killing each other. Okay, they seem to be doing okay. My oldest daughter, who's 12, who usually we homeschool, so she's usually in the house. She is gone today on over to her grandmother's. Oh, now they're going to try and sneak out the other door. So, I'm not one of those moms that hates her kids. I love my kids. They're being really silly today. So anyways, gosh, they're fun. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, I want to say chronic illness, but I don't think that chronic illness is a good topic for today. I think advocacy is a really good topic for today. And it's really what I sat down to talk about today, about being an advocate. And this will probably not be the last time I talk about advocacy, and it will probably, I will probably beat a dead horse with this advocacy stuff, because I am a part of probably about 30 mom groups that have to do with bleeding disorders, not just the one that my son has, but all bleeding disorders. And, you know, I see moms on there that are young, and they are terrified, petrified. They are just absolutely lost their minds because this has happened to them. And I can see being young and having to deal with this. My sister was young and had to deal with this. How it can be very devastating, and especially hard on those that that haven't seen a lot of years in adulthood. And it can be very, very, very complicated and hard. And for those of us moms that are a little bit older and have dealt with it their whole lives, it's kind of, like I said, brushing my teeth. So, but I think that not necessarily getting through the emotional and mental and physical and literal things like, you know, insurance and medicine and doctors, and getting through all of that. And I'll have a talk about that one day. But my big thing is that when you're an advocate for your child, it doesn't matter if you are 19 or if you are 49. It doesn't matter. When you're an advocate for your child, that means you are the one that's looking out for your child 100% of the time, for every possible thing and in every situation and for every reason. And and I don't think that there are a lot of moms out there that really understand what advocacy means. Sorry, there's a fly. Anyways, I don't really think they understand what advocacy means to, and part of it for me comes from, you have to understand that when bleeding disorders were a lot more rare and underdiagnosed for a long time. And so like my dad and my nephews who are in their early 20s now, they didn't have specialty doctors that dealt with these kind of things. They just had to have their general practitioners, and they had very few medications they had to figure it out for themselves. I don't want to go into the specifics necessarily of just bleeding disorders, because I don't think that this is really the point. If anybody needs help with bleeding disorders, there are foundations for those things. My purpose in this is, as a mom, trying to educate and give information to help other moms not feel powerless in situations where they most likely do. If you are one of these moms, I cannot believe the amount of moms that don't realize that there's a Facebook group or a web page or a local church chapter, or that there is so much help out there nowadays that there wasn't before. And I strongly encourage anybody who has to go through a chronic illness or anything hard with their kids medically, that they reach out and find somebody either who has, one, done it with them, or two, reach out a group that can help them through it, because it can make all the difference in the world just to know that somebody else has been through. I had a girlfriend who by trade is a nurse, and she had a daughter who was born with a bleeding disorder, and she was stuck up in a hospital. And my mom and I found out that she was up there, and we didn't really even know her at the time. She was just a friend of a friend, and we were like, well, we don't care if we know them or not. It doesn't matter to us. Their daughter has a bleeding disorder, and they're feeling very vulnerable, and they're feeling very lost and alone right now. That doesn't matter. So we did the standard protocol for hospitals, because we have one of those in our family. Our standard protocols for hospitals are chocolate covered gummy bears and chocolate kisses, and that's what we bring. We bring love and companionship and chocolate covered gummy bears. So we showed up and we sat, I don't even know for how long, you know, and just visited. And I don't know truly what impact that had on their lives. And we still talk occasionally. We live far away from each other now. So we don't have much time talking as far as all that goes. And the daughter's older now. She deals with her medical issues on her own. Her mom doesn't have to help her anymore. But, you know, the gal and I still talk. We're both bleeding disorder moms, and I know that she has said thank you, and that feeling like somebody was there for her was a big deal, and that's, you know, and that made a big difference for her at the time. So I say, you know, it's always about having support, and always about having somebody there with you, even if they don't understand, or even though they can't relate. Just to have somebody there to lean on. A good support system is crucial. The other part of advocacy that I really would like to touch on is, I am not saying that somebody who went to school for 10 to 12 years to be a doctor is not a well-educated person about a disease. They are well-educated about a disease. But I will tell you this. Not all doctors know everything. Not all doctors have experienced everything that your child or you are going through. Not every doctor is perfect. Not every doctor communicates the same way as a patient, and there can be communication breakdowns. There can be language barriers, which I've come across a lot recently. There can just be a lack of history, of compassion, a bad bedside manner, just all different things where just people just don't clash. I mean, just people clash and just don't get along. And so I highly recommend to everyone that if the doctor that if you are not feeling loved on and you are not feeling helped and you are feeling lost and more confused or frustrated, and you think that that's the only answer, and that the doctor is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or if you're not even sure what they're doing, or if you're not even sure if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I myself, we have, and like I said, this isn't specific to any one thing. I'm just trying to give out the example here. We have what they call homeostasis and thrombosis centers. So they're HTCs. We used to call them hemophilia treatment centers, whatever. But they're specifically oncologists that went to school to be, isn't that cute? Matches my glasses. They went to school to be hematologists or oncologists or both. And these hemophilia treatment centers specialize in bleeding disorders. Now, these are recent, probably in the last decade, and they didn't always have them. And like I said, our pediatrician or our general practitioner was always the one that wrote our prescriptions and helped us with our factor, when my dad and my nephews were growing up. I had children later in life, if you couldn't tell. And my sister had them in her 20s. So, I have 20-year-old nephews and 2-year-old sons. So we're kind of a weird family, but that's okay. My mom is 20 years younger than her oldest sister too. So she has a niece that's the same age. We're weird. It's okay. We like everybody anyways. It doesn't matter. But, so we had to deal with it on our own. We had to deal with it as, the doctors came and we didn't have these specialists. And so in our family, right now, anybody who has hemophilia can go to a hemophilia treatment center, and I recommend that new moms go. But once you get the hang of it, once you get a kid on Prophy, or once you get your kids under control and you feel like you have enough education to deal with your child with not a really great specialist like that, I would say I personally have taken my son away from treatment centers and put them in a private hematologist office. They're really rare to come by. There's just a handful here in Phoenix and in Tucson. So I feel that my son is treated better. I feel like my son is a person and not a subject in their hemophilia treatment trials. There's lots of medications now, plenty to choose from. We have a completely different culture in medicine in hemophilia. And I think that every kind, cancer or heart disease or whatever, there's a different culture that goes with that specialty of, and so find a doctor that's really good, that listens to you, that agrees with you, that helps you. And, I'm not saying that they go, yes, ma'am, with everything. I'm just saying, oh, okay, the ones that will listen and agree with you, but say, because my doctor does this all the time. My son's hematologist. Jen, I agree with you, but think about this. Or I agree with you, but what about this? Or you know what? That doesn't really sound like a good idea to me. This is why I think that. And he's very respectful and he's very knowledgeable and he's a great guy. So, and he has a lot of experience. I can easily say this guy's probably been doing this for over 50 years. And that's why I found him. Oh, and my one tip. Okay, this is kind of a mom hack. If you have a specialty that you have a deal with a special needs kid or a special whatever, like my son, I do something really naughty and probably not something that they would want us to do. Hi, baby. I call the emergency rooms, like the pediatric emergency rooms, or I call lots of different pediatricians in the area. And because I've moved a lot with my husband's job, like 7 times in 8 years. And we said, no, we bought a house here and now we're done. We're not moving for a long time. So anyways, oh, sorry, a grasshopper was coming at me. I thought it was a spider. I don't do spiders. So anyway, I'm almost done, guys. So, and this is well over 10 minutes. Great. Not even 5 this time. So, don't settle. Don't settle for anything. Look for a doctor. Go through 5 doctors. Go through 10 doctors. Go through 30 doctors. I don't care. Ask for referrals. Ask for help finding a referral. Sorry, my arm is itching. Keep looking. Drive further if you have to. Go to a different hospital. Try and find different insurance. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Just don't ever settle. And don't be, if you're upset, don't settle for that. If something's not right, don't settle for that. Fight for your kids, because nobody else is going to fight for them as hard as you do. I'll tell you, they're coming to find out that this one drug that the HTC wanted to put my son on is really not a good drug after all. And they're finding out things about it now that they didn't know before. And it's causing inhibitors and all sorts of things. So this doctor would only prescribe this one medication. He refused to prescribe any other medication. And in the hemophilia world, you can choose what you want to do. You can choose which medication. It's a different culture. So I was talking about earlier, it's a different culture. You can choose whatever medication you want to put your son on, you know, as long as he's like not allergic to it or allergic to something in it. The doctor should reasonably allow you to choose whatever you want. I mean, you have to respect the script pad. I'm not saying don't respect the doctor, and, you know, he writes that prescription and he is legally liable. So you have to be careful with that and be respectful of it. But at the same time, you need to be an advocate for your child, and don't ever settle for whatever you think, whatever the doctor thinks is best. Do your research, ask questions, find help, get a support group. I'm not really a person to kind of do this, but if you have a bleeding disorder or specialty disorder, I've actually found several different hematologists for other bleeding disorder moms in other parts of the country, because people just don't know how to search them anymore. They just don't know how to find them. I gave some tips. Call the ERs, call other nurses from pediatrician offices and ask them, who do your kids' parents love as a oncologist? Who do your kids, who do your kids like? I call the RNs at the nurses station in the pediatric emergency room. Hey, who are the hematologists that come in and deal with your kids when they're sick? Which ones do the kids like? Which ones do you guys like to work with? Nurses always are the best. They're like the gatekeepers to the doctors, and they know the doctor's personality. And so if you say, hey, you know, how do you like this doctor? Or what do you think about this doctor? Or do you like working with your doctor? Or what kind of personality does he have? These nurses can give you a plethora of information before you even get on the phone. Now, I've gotten on the phone with somebody who the nurse said she loved him, blah, blah, blah. And it was like 2 seconds I was on the phone with this guy and I couldn't stand him. So, you know, still talk to the doctors, but make sure you guys aren't settling for anything. Don't settle for anything less than what is 100% best for your kids, and fight for it. Oh, I only got a minute and 30 seconds. I got to get off here. It's been 20 minutes here. And I'm sorry this was really so long, but I'm going to tell you just for a second. When baby number 3 was born, she was born blue. She had sepsis. She had meconium, and membrane had ruptured, and she was infected, and it was terrible. And they whisked her away to the NICU, and the hospital we were at was so little in North Dakota that they had to transport her and me 5 hours out after labor. I was no pain medication. I was walking out of the hospital on my own power. Story for another day. But anyways, we got to Bismarck, North Dakota, and we wanted to go back to our hometown with the hospital there if there had been room made after a day or two and getting my daughter stable. And they're like, well, you won't get your insurance to approve it. And, you know, and then you're going to have to pay for another ambulance back, and you're going to have to do this, and it just won't happen. Well, I got on the phone with my insurance company, and I just had a fit, and I talked to these ladies, and I didn't give up. And the ladies could hear, and they were moms too, and they figured out a way, and they got approval. And the NICU doctor came out, and she goes, I do not know who you know. I don't know what you did. I don't know what. I have never seen that before in my whole career. She goes, I don't know how you do it. She goes, but I will never doubt you again. If you say that you're going to do something, I believe you. You will get it done. And so it's that tenacity that I wish that everybody had it for their kids and that they could share it. And if you need to borrow some of mine, you know, leave a comment, send me a message, you know. I'm more than happy to share some because I'm pretty tenacious when it comes to my kids. And I think you should be too. All right. I'll let you guys go. Signing off for another day of Just That Mom on YouTube.